Okay, we are back for another Ka Ta SeeHealing Talk and continuing our explorations of the ancient teachings that have been lost to the masses and are being brought back at this bridge time. And today, I always want to say today we have a really juicy one, but they're really all juicy. So, but I think this is a really special one, I would say. And what we are going to talk about today is to free yourself, your mind, body, feelings, emotions, and spirits from the lies, propaganda, addictions, and destructions of the corrupt systems, their rulers, and the upside down, backwards turning wheel planetary thought form they have conned us all into creating and maintaining, and just step outside of it. Wow. So, my name is Helmut. Uh, oops. I am here with our beautiful friends, Laura and Laura. Hi, guys. And of course, Kay Cadell Whitaker, the author of The Reluctant Shaman, Sacred Link, and her latest, from which all these teachings come from, or the list of these teachings that we are talking about, and it's the weavings. If you want to check out the book, there's a um, QR code on the left corner of the screen. When you scan that, it gets you to the Amazon page of the book, and um, there's also a link in the description below. And if you want to help our channel, like it, subscribe, comment, share. And if you have questions about any of this, put them in the comments too. We will get to them. All right, let's go. Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Uh, you're muted. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. Try again. Hi, everybody. uh, this is like the cornerstone of of what these bullet points are resting on. This is all about the programming that we in the Ka Ta tradition refer to all this programming as masks, because they speak very poetically, and that's the program. It's not you. It's just this artificial plastic monster that you helped create. You were taught how to create it from everybody, from the whole system, from your parents, from the whole culture. And we put the mask on, and we're wearing it, and we're looking at the world through this mask, and everything that we're thinking is inside this prison. This they often use the word box. We we've created these boxes that we live in, and the boxes are our prison, and the boxes are this programming, the masks, and they're all stemming out of the blind beliefs that we're taught since the day that we're born. We're taught to believe, this and that and the other, and believe this about this and this about you, and this about this person and that person, and this science and this food and this everything, everything. We have some little piece of information as part of this programming to indoctrinate us, that most of which is not true. It's not accurate. It's not real. It's not true. And like the Buddhists often say, we're living in illusion. And this is it. This is the illusion that we live in. And it's a world that we created for ourselves because that's what we were taught since we were born and we want to fit in. That's seriously important to everybody in mask land. You got to fit in, got to believe all the same masks, you got to believe all the same things, same beliefs, behave the same way, make the same kind of decisions. And we've been we've been watching this play out for a year or so with all the campaigning. You, if you just look at that, you can see it. You get to where it just jumps right out at you. This is this are the masks that these people are living by. This is the programming that they have sucked up, and they believe, and they believe with a great deal of emotion and charge, and so when they get involved with others about any of these beliefs and masks and talking about them, and if somebody's disagreeing, they get very, very charged up and upset and excited and angry, and uh, they want to be right. Everybody wants to be right, and they think their little way of doing everything and believing everything is really it. That's that's the real thing, and that's what has to be, and everybody should be that way. And it it has never worked. We've been playing that game for thousands and thousands of years. And, it kind of goes up in its strength and down a little, and up in its strength and down a little through the centuries, through the millennia. But it's been there for a very long time from the worlds that came before us. And that means somewhere around 10, 12,000 years ago, one of those worlds ended and our world started and had to start all over from brand new. We had to just crawl our way out of the destruction. Not all that many humans left after those catastrophes. But before that time, there was a very vibrant, huge planetary culture with advanced sciences. And they had this problem and they didn't solve it and they destroyed themselves. And the world before them, same thing. They had the same problems. They didn't solve it. They destroyed themselves. And depending on whose history you're listening to, um, and mostly it's the primitive people or the legends from truly ancient times about the worlds that were before us, and what those people were like, what their culture was like, how they destroyed themselves. And they kept records of it as best as they could through the centuries. But with this corruption, it just kept coming back and kept growing, growing, and growing. And we see it in our world today. It is everywhere. It's in every country. It's in every culture, and it even pops up in the more recent popular centralized religions around the world. There's a lot of corruption in there. And the reason these people never solved it, they thought they could solve it from the outside. They thought they could solve it with wars and bigger and better weapons and trickery, but it never worked. the only way it can be solved, the only way we can get rid of this deeply, deeply embedded corruption. And a popular phrase these days is thinking errors. That's a very euphemistic way of talking about, downright bad, bad, wrong, evil, hurtful to yourself, hurtful to others. Thinking errors. It does very lightly, gently say the same things. Some people are noticing it more than others. And we see changes happening. Since I started learning these ancient traditions, that was in the 70s, 1970s, those are back a ways. The way the world was, the way people were with their thinking and their believing, and they're willing to change or share or think anything's wrong with what they might be thinking. They just couldn't believe that there was anything wrong with the way they were thinking and believing. But through all those years to now, we've seen some huge changes in people, and changes for the better in a lot of them. Some of them, the changes are for the worse. And the ancients said this would happen, that these people who are corrupt, and it's like a kind of sickness, like their whole mind, their whole way of thinking and being on the planet, perceiving, has gotten sick, really sick. Well, at the end of these times of this upside down, backwards turning wheel culture, it tears itself apart as it moves, tears everything else around it apart as it moves. And it tears itself apart so much, it cannot be put back together. We kept trying for centuries to pick up the broken pieces and put them back together and make it work. We can make it work this time. And that it's never worked. The only way, the ancients say that the only way to get out of this is if we just abandon it, we drop it. We leave all those beliefs behind. We question everything, question all those beliefs, question the mask, question the behavior, question people's motives, question your own perception, the perception of others. Don't take things for granted. Question them, and research if you need to. Keep looking, keep observing, keep your head up, keep your eyes open, and look and watch, feel. It's very important to feel what you are perceiving, and what kind of thoughts are coming to your mind. If you're going to clean yourself out, that's a feeling task. It's not a thinking task. If you use just your brain, you're relying on your brain and the brain logic, it's going to hook into your masks, which it's already very well hooked into your mask. All the way that your memory works, your thinking patterns and everything, they're all mask, blind belief controlled. So you need to question all of it. We've learned how to think and feel corruptly. And we have to change this. We have to drop this. We have to, when we get rid of that, we feel the badness of it. We can feel it going away. we we can't help but to feel the good parts, the truth of who and what we are, and the truth of who and what everything else is, what the whole universe is, and all the incredible amount of love that is in this universe that is just coming to us and being shared with everybody and everything through the whole universe constantly. All this information. And people think they have to keep all these secrets. And we've been through this really big uh, piece of our culture where we think we need to keep everything secret, and the corrupt powers that are controlling everything think that they need to keep everything secret. And that's very naive and very stupid, because we're basically, our basic nature is telepathic, and we are so connected to everybody and everything and the whole universe that has recorded everything, that all this information is available to us. All we have to do is turn our attention to it, and it's right there, all those nasty secrets, those puppet masters have been hiding in the industrial military complex, and the governments, and all that group of things. We have that power. That is our basic raw nature of who and what we are. The Atticas call that our song. That's a poetic reference, because it's such a beautiful thing. Your song, your beingness, the you that's been you, the energy, the aliveness, consciousness that's you, is such a beautiful thing, and so full of love, and so giving of love. And it's been around since the beginning. Like, we're eternal. We've been here forever. And we've been all over the place in the universe. We've been to many different planets, and we've had lifetimes. And we've been in all kinds of spectacular celestial places, like the nebulas and different galaxies, and uh, had different kinds of experiences of consciousness and life, being part of a nebula, and maybe being part of a star or a planet, or, you know, it's, but the possibilities are endless. And we've all been there, been in many different life forms on all kinds of different planets, rock and plant and animal and sentient being and spirit beings. We've been there, we've done that, and we'll keep doing more in the future. We go wherever we want to go or need to go, and go have a beautiful time. And here on Earth, this is a young planet. This is a young species. Humanity is a very young species, even if you count our predecessors in the previous worlds, who were, looking a little bit different than us, but not by much. And with our DNA, we still have almost the same DNA, and so you could call them the same human species. But even with counting all of them, we are considered a young sentient species in the universe. There are many, many races that are millions and billions of years old. And they live all different kinds of lifespans. Lots of them have lifespans somewhere around us. Lots of them have lifespans that are a whole lot longer. some of them a whole lot longer. And they, they definitely have learned a thing or two in all this time. And many of those different peoples have been here on this planet helping us, giving us a head start, giving us the lessons and the teachings of who we are, what we are, who they are, what the cosmos is, and uh, all kinds of different information without lies and without corruption and without an agenda. They're just parenting us, and they're still doing it. And where we're at now is this place where this this programming that is everywhere on our planet and in everybody in every kind of a way, this has to be addressed if we're going to change the world to a better world, and and have a really pretty happy ever after, like we've heard some people talking about in recent days. We have to build it, and in order to build it, we have to start with ourselves. Each person is responsible for the garbage and corruption and the lies that's inside them. And these lies are helped by the the energies of these lies, because as people, everything we think and we believe and we do and we say and feel and and all of that, we're radiating out. We're radiating that information, radiating it out into the world, and it becomes this thought form, an energetic form full of thought energy. All humans make these all the time. It's part of how we exist. It's part of how we think, part of how we communicate. And these energetic thought forms just become bigger and bigger. And in their world, like attracts like. So one anger thought form is attracted to the other anger thought form that's, on the other side of the city over there. And they're attracted to each other. And they have eventually come together and meld together and make one much bigger thought form. When they meld together like that, they get stronger. They have more energy. They have ties. They're keeping energetic ties to the people who made the thought forms in the first place. Those always stay around unless you do something to remove them. They're still there. And that means you as an individual are still tied to that thought form, even though it was years since you created it. You're still tied to it. And in that cord going to that thought form, everything that's in that thought form, all the lies and the corruption and the bad beliefs and the bad everything is coming down the cord to you and feeding you. And you're learning how to think and keep thinking and keep rethinking and keep babbling to yourself all these junky, stupid pieces of information and lies with all of its barbs and all of the anger and the hate and the fear and all the negative emotions. They're all in the thought form too. And they come down the cord and they come to you. You're feeding it, it's feeding you. All the time, you're feeding it and it's feeding you. If that picture looks pretty sick, it's because it is. It is. This is the way we've been living. We haven't we haven't been living knowing the truth of ourselves or the world. But as soon as you question it, as soon as you start really questioning that thought form and those beliefs and those energies, and you find them in yourself, and you can take them out and look at them and see them for what they are and clear them away, let them go. Don't believe in them anymore. Don't hang on to the emotions of them anymore. The convenient thing about thought forms is that if you do not feed the thought form, it will die away. It has a certain amount of life and consciousness that we gave it, but it cannot sustain itself. It has no way and no knowledge of sustaining itself. Somebody has to keep feeding it until it runs out of whatever store it has. And when you get it out of you and you get it gone, you get it out of your space, you clear your space of all the energies, those thought forms, those lies and the corruption. All of a sudden, it's like you just washed your windows that have never been washed for 30 years or so. And I don't know, I'm aging myself quite a bit. Early TV commercial. This is back in the black and white TV age. I was a kid. There was this commercial about getting to know your neighbors. And there's this happy couple who don't really, they've never been out of their house. They can't see out of their window because they never washed it. They've been living in the house for a long time, but the windows are so dirty they can't really see what the neighborhood looks like or their neighbors or anything. And so the theme of the movie is get to know your neighbors, and they've got the magic spray that they're advertising, and they spray and rub and they wash the windows, and they have this great big glass picture window, and all of a sudden there's this countryside out there, this big prairie and trees and some mountains in the distance. Here comes a whole gang of Indians dressed in war gear, on horseback with their weapons, charging right in front of the house. Get to know your neighbors. So that, to me, that just keeps popping back up as a funny metaphor, funny reminder of when we're in the box and we're stuck in the box that is that thought form, and it's blinding us. We are blinded to so many of our spirit senses and our physical senses, and we can't even see past the window. We just keep believing what's in the house and thinking that's it. Everything's like this, and this is what we are, and this is what the world is. But you get rid of that dirt and corruption and lies, and you've washed that window clean, and there's the real world, the real universe, the real aliveness and the beauty and the love and the peace and the happiness and the passion and creativities and beautiful desires to participate with each other, to love everything. You see, feel all this love and beauty and everything. And it's overwhelming with this first look, this first feel. It's a feeling thing. It's not a thinking thing. You never get anywhere in this stuff if you try to think your way through it. It's a feeling thing. And you've been aiming your feelings and your attention at that creepy thought form and all of its garbage that's it's carrying around with it. You think that's the world, you think that's you, and you think that's other people. And it's just a pack of lies. It's an illusion, a nasty tasting one, but it isn't real. So when you get rid of that, you're getting rid of those nasty thought forms. You're helping everybody else get rid of them out of themselves. You're diminishing the nasty thought forms off the planet and out of existence and helping everybody to wake up. Real waking up is this. It's cleaning out all the thought forms for good, cleaning them off of the planet. Don't feed them. Just let them die away. And you find other things. You find the truth of things to put your attention into. Things that have the love and the beauty. And you start to realize what the power of this real unconditional love and beauty and peace and gratitude and forgiveness and the caring, creativity. That's where the real power is. That's who and what we really are. And you feel it. You learn it from the feeling of it. It's like a telepathic experience. You understand the whole dynamic of that tree out there, its history, its lineage, it's who it is in this environment and what it is and what it does for itself, its brethren, the other plants, the soil, the people around, all the animals and birds and everybody. You learn that from the feeling. So it's a telepathic transmission. And that opens up to you. So that's what this particular bullet point is all about. We've been conned for millennia. Millennia of our ancestors have been conned into thinking this, believing it, and believing it with great emotional charge and attachment, and we'll defend it. It's a long time, but I think we've finally grown out of it. This is the era. The ancients say, this is it. This is the time. We're the ones who have the chance. We've come far enough. We have the chance to wake up out of this without destroying ourselves or living in horror and servitude and corruption. We're pulling out of it. We see it all around us, the effects of it. And I think we can, if you honestly let yourself look at some of these videos, YouTube videos, newsreels, or whatever about the election and people's response to it, and what people have been saying about the different candidates and kind of things they have been doing, their actions. It all speaks for itself. And all you have to do is look honestly, question it all. Look and really question. And are these things from the corrupt thought form? What you're looking at, is that a piece of the corruption? Or is it a piece of where people are waking up? We all want a better world. We all want a nice world and a world without war. At least most of us want one without war. The ones who want it with war, it's because they make so much money and get so much power. They get so much political power out of that. But at a horrendous cost to the whole race, whole humanity. The rest of us who've been living our lives and being people, this, what we really want is happiness, love, peace, and no wars, no more fighting. And I think we can see how well we've done so far, how far we have come, and we got a lot more to go. But the big way of phrasing it in the language of the ancients is you just step outside that thought form. Step outside, don't look back. Sort of like Abraham running up the mountain with his family and his wife to get away from the city that's going to be bombed. They're not supposed to turn around and look. But his wife just can't help herself. I think it's his wife or it's a daughter-in-law, something like that. And as she turns around and things are blowing up, she turns to a pillar of salt. And the rest of the family keeps climbing up and away, getting out of the thought form. So step out of the thought form and don't look back. When you look back at the thought form, it hooks you. You get connected to it, it'll pull you inside. And when you first are getting pulled back inside, you're in what they call the foyer, the entrance room, and that's all, roses and looks nice and pretty and all the things that you would like. And it's all lies. And then you're stuck. You're inside and you're stuck. You have to start all over again with questioning and questioning. And what's inside you that attracted you back to that thought form? What's inside you that attracted you back? And now you're in the depths of it. You step out again, leave it behind, start questioning and questioning and questioning what you didn't think you had to question before. Question it. Examine it. Question it. Is this the real truth of things? Does this have to do with pure, unconditional love? Does this have to do with pure, unconditional beauty and peace and gratitude, forgiveness? That's how we win. Each person has to do it for themselves, and as they do, they're radiating that beauty out, that awakeness out, and other people pick it up and want it, and they follow it. And it enters the whole human consciousness, everything you think and feel. It enters the whole human consciousness so that they all have a chance to touch it, to feel it, to taste it, to see it, to become part of that, to make that part of themselves. So the more people who do it, who do this self-examination without judgment, in these ancient traditions, there's no judgment. They didn't even have a word for judgment or condemnation or belittling or any of that stuff. Didn't even have a word for it. Hedekas still to this day don't have a word for it in their language. Can you imagine what growing up would be like, not having that concept in your language? What would you be like? So that's how we win, and that's how we wake up, and that's how we clean up the whole world and make a whole brand new world. Heal yourself, heal the world. Okay, I've rattled along long enough.
I don't know. This was very cool. Thank you, Kay.
I would like to know the thoughts of you three.
Laura, you want to go or you want me to go?
Well, I can go. Or you can go. Let's see. Where do I start? For me, Kay really does teach. Where are you putting your attention? And to pay attention to our thoughts and our emotions throughout the day, because those are the things that are building our world. And the thing I tell myself often is where am I in this moment? That kind of brings me right to the present, so I can see what I'm valuing. Am I valuing? I think Laura Kay called it this one at one point, fear and all its children. I think that's how you had said it, fear and all its children. Am I identifying with that? Am I giving it some value? Because when I'm feeding that monster, that parasite, it is creating separation. And then I ask myself, well, what do I want to communicate in this moment? Because if what I'm communicating and what I'm thinking about is communicating with all of humanity, because I'm adding to whatever thought forms that are out there, I'm teaching in that moment, even though I can't see other people around me. Where am I putting my attention? Where am I in this moment? And that really helps me to be responsible for what my thoughts are and what I'm creating, because we are creators. But it's a process. I mean, it's a learning process. I remember when I first read Sacred Link, and Chia had said, when you know the workings of something, which Cage has taught us, then you know where the power is, and you know where you can change things. And well, we just learned, where are we putting our attention? What blind beliefs do we have? What things can I question? Where if I'm still participating in that backwards turning wheel, and disconnect myself from it so that it can die. it can die. It can and move us forward into that unconditional love and that beauty and that forgiveness and that gratitude that's just waiting for us to put our attention at. Or Ketty, your turn. It's a process, and that's the question I ask myself all the time. Where am I in this moment?
To free yourself. I mean, it's just this bullet point. It's who doesn't want that? I got trapped back into some of my babble, and man, that's misery making. It's just like it's and I got trapped back into it because I was listening to others' rhetoric, just talk. And I was listening to others' beliefs, you know, and what I found is I needed to stop and say, do they know that's true? You know, is that a fact? Do they know that's true? You know, this question everything. And then I'm like, do I know that what they're saying is even true? Even if they say it's a fact, is like, do I know that it's true? And I'm like, and it was like this pulling back, you know, to free myself, to free yourself. It's this pulling back, this questioning everything that Kay, you said so beautifully. I have a nephew-in-law who's uber Christian, super Christian, you know, goes more than once a week, leads Bible studies. I love my conversations with this dude. But he's very, he loves conversations with other people too. And one of our best conversations was, you have to believe in something. He was asking me, what do I believe in? And I'm like, oh. And I said, are you asking what I've experienced or what I believe in? And he's like, all of a sudden there was like, dun, 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 you know, that's like, and I'm like, can we go down this line? I'd like to go down this line of what you've experienced. And I can tell you what I've experienced. And I said, so, because if you want to talk about beliefs, this is going to be a very short subject on my side. And I'm like, I'm working hard and fast not to believe anything I don't experience, working my way out of those things to free myself, you know, that's been huge for me to get away from corruption in myself. Because most of us don't know that we have corruption. Most of us don't understand that we're following corruption. The other thing I noticed is, you know, because, you know, that belief, we have to believe anything. We have to believe in something. You know, there's so much mental health that's, you know, so many therapists who say, if you don't have something to believe in, you suffer. And what I feel like they're trying to say is, let's put you in a new box, you know, a box that's more comfortable and not as dark and scary as the last box, you know, but it's another box. Because what people are often most afraid of is being out of any box, you know, not having an opinion because it's so foreign. But I can say those moments when I'm outside, it's so delicious and beautiful being outside of anything, not having, I mean, it's just bizarre not having an opinion. When you finally try it, it's so foreign that it's like, who am I? What is this space I'm in right now? But it's just like, you don't have to. You absolutely don't have an opinion. You can just sit back and watch a movie play, actions play out. And it keeps you out of choosing one person's corruption over another person's corruption. You know, one person's lie versus another person's lie. Just, you know, it's, you know, one box versus another box is not freedom. It's not freeing yourself. AK says it, you said it so beautifully, so many times in here. My favorite statement is saying, and Laura Philpott, you know, started me on that. I don't know. I don't know. We're really supposed to suddenly know and agree and be fast, and saying, I don't know is, you know, we're going to make, I don't know hip again. We're going to make a new trend of, I don't know. I don't believe. And you know, and I don't have an opinion. Not having an opinion doesn't mean you don't care. It just means that you're stepping back and letting yourself have an experience so that you can, you know, focus those energies more accurately and hopefully on something in unconditional love. Okay, thank you for putting these bullet points together and talking about them. I just, that to free myself is so important to me. Thank you. That's my thoughts.
Mm.
Very cool. Thank you, guys. Thank you all. I was just thinking as you were talking that believing is often a mind thing. It's like you hold it in your head. Experience is a like a full body, a full being thing. And that's where the juicy stuff is.
That's where the truth is.
That's where you can find it. But the caveat is that you have to know yourself first, because otherwise your experiences are delusional or can be delusional and obscured and twisted by the programming that Kate just talked for almost an hour. So if you haven't had the magic spray and clean your windows to look inside and outside, it's just there's the potential that it's going to end up in another series of blind beliefs. And that's one of the big things you want to avoid. So get the magic spray. The ancient teachings are a super spray. Yep. And if you want some help with all of that, check out our websites, especially the School of Ka Ta SeeHealing, or get in touch with us. But beautiful. Thank you.
A few more thoughts?
I'm good.
Any thoughts from the audience? Any questions? Any comments? And if not, we just gonna close it out. All right. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, ladies and Kay, for being here. And we see you next week. The theme for next week is to free your linear mind of blind beliefs and learn to think clearly, to use your mind as a sacred tool, not a dictator. Can't wait. Okay, thanks for joining us live. Thanks for everybody watching this later on, for taking the time. And if you're intrigued and want to find out more about our work, check it out. And we see you soon.
Thank you, everybody.
Love you.
Thank you all, everybody that's listening. Love you.